Welcome to Calm, Sleepy Tales, where gentle stories invite you to relax, unwind, and drift into peaceful dreams. In tonight's cozy tale, we journey with Eloise, a kind-hearted young woman, as she follows a quiet dream to open her very own cafe. Settle in with a warm drink, breathe deeply, and let the story carry you into calm and comfort. Rainy day at the Little Leaf Café. The clouds had rolled in quickly that afternoon, thick and grey, looming low over the little town as if they too wanted a cup of something warm. The usual morning sun had vanished behind them, leaving a silver blue light to settle on the windows of the Little Leaf Café. Inside, Eloise wiped down the counter and glanced toward the sky. The scent of cinnamon buns lingered in the air, mixing with the nutty aroma of brewing coffee and the faint smell of old books. A light drizzle began to tap against the windows, then grew heavier, the rhythm of raindrops drumming softly on the roof. Eloise moved to the front of the cafe, her eyes scanning the rain-slicked streets outside. That day had started slowly, a few regulars stopping in before the storm. But as the sky darkened and the rain grew steadier, something shifted. The door chimed. A woman, soaked through and clutching the hand of a small child, stepped inside. The boy had a red raincoat, but no umbrella, and the water had found its way into his boots. They stood in the doorway, unsure for a moment. Eloise smiled and stepped forward. Come in, come in. I've just put the kettle on. Let me find some towels." The woman, clearly flustered, gave a grateful nod. "Thank you. We were walking home and got caught." "No trouble at all," Eloise said, fetching a soft, mismatched towel from a wooden chest near the bookshelf. She handed it to the mother, then gently helped the boy out of his wet coat. "There's a cozy corner over there by the window. I'll bring you something warm." They made their way over to the corner table, surrounded by a circle of chairs that didn't match, but somehow felt right together. Each one collected by Eloise in the weeks before she opened the cafe. As the mother and son settled in, the door opened again. This time it was a man in his early 30s, soaked from head to toe, clutching a small sketchbook to his chest. His shaggy hair dripped onto his shoulders, and his glasses were fogged up. Eloise handed him a towel without saying a word. He took it with a sheepish grin. Didn't expect the clouds to actually follow through. They do that sometimes, she replied. There's tea on the way, and if you'd like, there's a spot by the window. He nodded and made his way over to a chair near the bookshelf, gently laying his sketchbook on a side table and glancing around the warm, quiet space. Moments later, another figure darted through the door. A teenager, drenched and breathless, paused just inside the threshold. They wore a hoodie 2 sizes too big, sleeves drooping over their hands, and they kept their gaze fixed on the floor. Eloise approached, holding a soft flannel blanket. You're welcome to stay as long as you need. The teen nodded slightly and took the blanket, not saying a word. Eloise motioned toward a beanbag near the low reading table. That one's just right for curling up with a book. With the storm outside now roaring in full force, the rain tapping a steady lullaby on the roof, the inside of the cafe began to take on a special kind of warmth. Candles flickered gently in mason jars on every table, casting golden glows on the wood-panelled walls. Eloise moved among her guests, placing mugs of hot tea and warm croissants on the tables. For the boy, she brought a cocoa with extra marshmallows. The artist, now warm and a little drier, opened his sketchbook and began to draw, occasionally glancing up at the others. The mother leaned back in her chair, finally relaxing as her son giggled over a picture book he'd pulled from the shelf. The teen, wrapped snugly in the blanket, browsed the shelf with one hand and picked a book at random. Soon they were curled up, turning pages slowly. A soft music played in the background, something acoustic, the kind of song that made you feel like time was pausing just for a while. The rain continued to fall. As time passed, something beautiful happened. The boy wandered over to the artist and asked, "Are you drawing us?" The man smiled and turned the sketchbook. Indeed, he had begun sketching the cafe scene. The boy, the shelves, the misty window. The mother joined them and smiled at the likeness. "You're very talented," she said. "Thanks. I usually sketch alone, but this place makes you feel like sharing." Meanwhile, the teen had moved to sit nearer the others, pulled in by the gentle conversation. They said nothing, but their eyes flicked toward the sketchbook, then back to the pages of their novel. "I come here to think," Eloise said, noticing them. "Sometimes I think better around strangers than I do with people I know." The teen gave the faintest smile. And just like that, the quiet connections deepened. Eloise brought over a plate of warm peach scones. "Baked them this morning. They go best with rainy days." Everyone shared them, the scent of sweet fruit and butter lifting the spirits even more. The candles glowed brighter now as the sky outside darkened to dusk. The boy, full of cocoa and crumbs, nestled against his mother. The artist turned the page and began a new sketch, this time of the teen by the window. "Do you draw for a living?" the mother asked. "I try," he said. "Mostly I draw what I feel. Today I feel less alone." The teen looked up. "Me too." It was the first thing they'd said since entering. Eloise smiled to herself behind the counter. Hours passed quietly. Stories were exchanged. Books were shared. The storm outside softened. The air inside grew rich with companionship and the quiet magic of strangers becoming something more. By the time the rain slowed to a gentle mist, no one was in a hurry to leave. Eloise brought out a chalkboard and wrote in swirling script, "Today's special: shelter, scones, and serendipity." Everyone laughed softly. When the guests finally rose to go, they thanked Eloise, not just for the food and tea, but for the space. The artist left behind a sketch of the group, pinned to the community board by the door. The teen handed back the blanket, but kept the book after Eloise insisted. "It's yours now. You're part of the story too." As the bell chimed behind the last guest, Eloise stood quietly, staring out at the soft mist now hanging in the evening air. She didn't say much. She didn't need to, because the Little Leaf Café had once again done what it was meant to do. Not just serve warm drinks and pastries, but offer a little sanctuary when it was needed most. The storm had passed, but the warmth lingered. And Eloise, alone now in the soft candlelight, began humming a tune as she wiped the tables clean, the scent of rain and scones still dancing in the air. Tomorrow, she knew, would bring new stories, but today had been more than enough. thank you for joining us at Calm Sleepy Tales. If you enjoyed this gentle visit to the Little Leaf Café, we invite you to return for more quiet moments and cozy stories. Until next time, may your heart be full and your dreams be sweet.